What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday to everyone. Hopefully, everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Sunday edition of the Pandemic Update for Sunday, June 30th, 2024. If you're new to my channel, this is where we do the daily pandemic update on all things COVID and any other virus that could be a health threat to you. We will talk about some of those other viruses today. Want to stay informed with what's going on with the COVID pandemic or these other viruses? The best way to do that is subscribe down below. Most of the news stations, they talk about COVID for maybe 20 to 30 seconds, sometimes longer. Very rare that they do so. Me, I give you 15 to 20-minute videos each and every day on COVID and all these other viruses. So subscribe down below, give this a thumbs up, hit that notification bell, share these videos with anyone you know, and leave a comment down below. Alright, today being a Sunday, we're going to talk about wastewater today. But first, we're going to get through a few news stories, just a few, and then a few of our other things, and then of course we'll talk about the climate-related stuff as well. We do have to talk about that real briefly. There's a hurricane out there in the Atlantic, a very strong hurricane at that. All right, starting off today, over in Ireland, there are 20 cases in the ICU right now of COVID. And this was recorded at 11:30 a.m. on Saturday, June 29th. That's the highest number in the ICU for the country of Ireland in 2024. And you can see here on the dashboard here, that number has been on the rise. So that's once again Ireland with their highest ICU number of the year, 20. Now that's not a lot of people, but it is their highest number of the year. Taking a look at this, Tokyo reports number of COVID-19 patients increases for 7th straight week. So the number of people with COVID is increasing in Tokyo still. And moving on to this, over in Australia, it's whooping cough. That's the issue here. Whooping cough cases nearly 5 times greater than last year's total. And they also put, this is from Corona Heads Up, they also put, remember, we're just halfway through 2024. So last year, they had 2,447 whooping cough cases. 2024 so far, wow, is 10,316. You can see 2022, 2021 were both low, and 2020 had about 3,457. In 2019, the year's total was 12,025. So that was a high year, but remember, we still have the second half of this year to go. So it's a good chance Australia may pass that 12,025 total from 2019. Wow. All right, taking a look at what's going on with the pollen levels across the United States, 54% of the country is in low to medium status. Much of the east today is in low. The moderate or higher, that today is in the Rockies and the West Coast, still Northern California, Oregon, and portions of Washington are in those categories. Taking a look at air qualities today, and you're going to see some bad air qualities in the east. The dew point levels are really high. I'm looking at my weather station right now. Dew point is 78 degrees here. So anytime you get a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, combined with things that could cause pollution and high humidity, it can make it harder to breathe outside. And take a look at this. You can see here, right along that I-95 corridor, from D.C. up into portions of Northeast and New England, oranges are showing up, and that does even spread back even further southwest. Yellows and oranges straight on down Interstate 85 to Atlanta, Georgia. Arkansas, some yellow for you today, and our typical bad spots in California with some wildfires that are ongoing. The Great Lakes are not doing too bad at all today. A lot of greens, even some zeros showing up in the Great Lakes. There we go. Yeah, look at that. Wow. Even some maroons showing up in California. Please, if you live in the areas of these maroons, you want to head inside if possible. Limit your time outside. If you do have to go out, consider wearing a mask. That is really dangerous air that you are breathing in. Heat-related illnesses, taking a look at that now. And we can see here that on the map that it's increasing in most places. Again, Indiana and Ohio, for some reason, are not reporting on here. We expect to get an update on this either tomorrow or on Tuesday. I think it's going to come in tomorrow. All right, we have to talk about this. I have another place where you can learn about climate and weather. That is over on X at Climate Data Report. Follow there for updates on Hurricane Beryl, and also look for a video that's going to be coming later on over on my other YouTube channel, and that is at Climate Data Report as well. We did a short this morning. I'm doing a full update on that, and there's a pattern change coming across the eastern portion of the United States, so I'll have all those details later on. That's going to be probably about an hour after this video comes out, so maybe around 4 o'clock or so. All right, taking a look at Philadelphia for yesterday, and actually I do need to update this. Philadelphia did report today that they had 777 lucky sevens EMS incidents on Saturday. At 777. Live looking at what's going on in Montgomery County. Just 6 calls right now. Not terribly busy. That's a good thing. However, when we take a look at Chester County, it's a bit of a different story. Chester County, Pennsylvania right now does have quite a few calls. Falls, list assist. Sick person, unresponsive person, respiratory difficulty, falls again, burns, ooh, that's not good, back pain, sick person, hemorrhaging, seizures, heart problems. Much busier in Chester County, Pennsylvania than it is right now in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Taking a look at Walgreens this week, the positivity rate continued up 34.1%. And I was going to show you New Jersey, but something's going on in New Jersey. I don't know why their data keeps coming in so wonky lately. It says 70 out of 70 hospitals reporting. It says 163 hospitalizations. That's fine, but why just all suddenly it's just a drastic drop? I don't know if that's believable or not. And it looks like here, let's zoom this out. Yeah, it looks like that, well, let's zoom it back in. That's new that they have that little thing there. It looks to me as if this drastic drop, I don't know if it's believable. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Sometimes they refresh and update this in the coming days, and then all suddenly it corrects higher. You know, kind of erratical, like something else we're going to be looking at in just a little bit. You know, wastewater scam. Yeah, that's erratical. All right, taking a look at what's going on in Canada. Number of sites for wastewater for COVID showing an increase, 16. Number of sites showing no change, 39. 10 sites show a decrease, 1 high, 6 moderate, 16 are low, and 42 new sites as well. All right, taking a look now at wastewater. Let's start with the CDC page, shall we? And on the CDC page, we see a bunch of colors on the map. I'm going to explain what they mean in case you're new to my channel. Gray means a site has not updated. New, that means that it's white. White would be the new ones, but not always is it new. Like, for example, about a year ago, Ohio, they all went gray. Then, when they all came back, they were all white. Well, they weren't new sites, they just came back. So sometimes that happens. 50 new sites, 0 to 19% COVID detected. That's really low levels of COVID. There's 295, and that number's been continuing to drop. Lighter shade of blue would be 20 to 39%. That's 458 sites. And again, these lighter blue colors, we see a lot of them in the Midwest and the Northeast, though we do note some of those oranges are starting to pop up. 40 to 59% COVID detected. That is the really light shade of blue, 276 sites there, and the orange sites, 60 to 79% COVID detected. That's moderate, 176 sites, and the highest level is red, 80 to 100%, and there are now 56 of them. So let's just do a quick tour of this map, and then we will continue on to some other maps as well. And taking a look here, we can see in the Northeast, we're starting to see some orange. We're starting to see even a couple red sites show up. What's this one right here? Let's click on it. Fairfield County, Connecticut. That is seeing a rapid rise at this time. That's not good. And taking a look at Long Island, I'm seeing red there as well. I want to click on that site. On Suffolk County, Long Island, yes, very small site, but it is rapidly rising at this time. I'm also seeing some red now show up in New York City, 655,000 population, and look at that, it continues to rise in New York. And Queens, wow, straight upward in Queens at this point, 824,000 population at that wastewater site. Kings is rapidly rising, Richmond's rapidly rising, another Queens, You get the idea here. The majority of the New York City sites at this point are rising. I'm also seeing some red in Maine now, in York County, Maine. And I think we can view this site on Wastewater Scan as well. In fact, we probably will go there. But this site is red. It is dropping a little bit at this time. Let's make our way down to the south. First off, let's make a stop here. I believe this is Maryland. And wow, this wastewater site, we're coming near Baltimore right now, and wow, 150,000 population, and going straight upward, taking a look at some of these other, yeah, wow, that's not good to see. Now going near DC, and we can see there is a slight rise at this time in Fairfax, Falls Church City, Arlington, Alexandria City, so it's rising there as well. And you know what? Let's look at this orange site in Delaware. Wow, Sussex County, Delaware, literally going straight upward. So things are starting to change in the Northeast. The tide is starting to turn at some wastewater sites in the Northeast. We are seeing a rise. How about South Carolina? What's going on there? Beaufort, 20,000 population. That's rising slightly at this time. Taking a look at Florida. We'll actually save Florida for wastewater scan because a lot of those sites on the CDC page just don't update. Missouri. I'm clicking on some of your red sites. Jefferson is dropping. Then we come out to Polk, small wastewater site, that is rising at this time. And let's go over to Chicago. I hate that. When you don't have it on the map, your cursor on the map, it just starts scrolling the page around. Very, very annoying. Taking a look here at what's going on, we want to get to the Cook County sites. And we could also just go to the Chicago website as well. But we'll use CDC today. We'll show the Chicago website during the week. 54,000 population at this wastewater site. We know that's not the big wastewater site. Here's a big one. And at this time, 1.1 million population, dropping ever so slightly. Here's another one which is rising slightly at this time. Now moving on to the west coast of the United States. And I think, again, we'll look at some of the west coast on here because wastewater scan is not good for the Pacific Northwest. But before we do that, we have to take a look at this. Look at Utah. Look at all this red and orange. This is COVID once again, and Utah is clearly seeing a rise at this time. Red and orange. It seems like when one site starts rising in this corridor here, they all start rising. And you can see here, the red and the orange is really taking over. Oregon, not looking too bad, at least not on the coloring. Let's click on here. Lane County, rising slightly. Marion, dropping slightly. Taking a look at Polk, that is rising ever so slightly. Another Marion, this one's rising a little bit more significant. And then Clark County, Washington, wow, 120,000 population. You're starting to rapidly rise. And I'm seeing King County, Washington site here, 789,000 population. And is this in the red? Yes, it is. It's in the red. We also have some orange popping up here. So yeah, wow. Seattle area is really starting to rise at this time. All right, let's take a look at some averages here. So this is another way we can look at wastewater for COVID. And we can see here, see a lot of different colors. We see some dark blues. In this case, unlike the previous map, remember, on the previous map, these dark blue sites represent low levels of COVID. Well, in this case, dark blue is something we don't want to see. Dark blue is higher levels of COVID. So, for example, Nevada, Utah, and Hawaii are all reporting very high levels of COVID right now. Now, not as dark, but still dark, is very high is New Mexico. And also, when we take a look here at what's going on in Maryland, Maryland's just high at this time. Missouri's high, Arkansas is high, and Florida is very high. So basically, what happens here, and let me just go to one of the states. So, for example, New Mexico, very high. Well, there's 7 wastewater sites reporting in New Mexico. Well, when you average that out, you get an average of very high levels. Yeah, not good. And of course, as you saw Utah, you saw what the map looks like there. A lot of red and orange, so obviously you expect that to come up very high. But again, Hawaii still comes up very high, but there are signs that Hawaii is now starting to peak. And before we show you that on Wastewater Scan, take a look up here in the Midwest. Still low to minimal levels. Pennsylvania is still at a minimal level. I think that's going to eventually change, and we'll eventually start to see all these very minimal or low states, probably post 4th of July. It'll start picking up the pace, and wastewater activity will increase. All right, let's go over to Wastewater Scan. First off, let's take a look at the national readings here, and we'll see on the national reading, you see one of these wonky things again, where it's going straight upward. Please do not take that seriously. It will eventually get corrected. All the other ones have been corrected. What you do need to know is the overall trend for COVID in wastewater in the United States is upward. RSV is low to minimal at this time. Influenza A, it's still there. It's at a very low level, but it's still there. Just not seeing a lot of it right now. Influenza B at a low level. HMPV is dropping to very low levels. Norovirus is still medium on the national level. In the Midwest, we see at this time that they're saying the calculation for COVID is high, and it has been starting to rise. RSV, Influenza A, Influenza B, all very low to minimal at this time. HMPV is low, and norovirus is medium at this time. In the Northeast, taking a look at that, the Northeast is rising at this time for COVID. RSV, Influenza A, Influenza B, all very low. HMPV, very low. And norovirus is medium at this time. In the South, we do see that COVID continues to rise at this time, and this probably is close to being right. Not 100% right, but close to being right. The rise is probably becoming much faster in the South right now for COVID. It's what happens in the summertime. RSV is low, Influenza A is low, Influenza B is low, HMPV not much of an issue, and norovirus is low at this time. And finally, out on the West Coast, when we take a look here, we can see things are still rising. Again, one of them wonky movements. The overall trajectory is upward at this time. RSV is low. Influenza A, it's low, but it's rising ever so slightly. Not a good thing to see. Influenza B is low, HMPV is low, and norovirus may be a slight rise or one of those wonky movements. All right, let's quickly take a look at what's going on in Hawaii real quickly. And we'll see here in Hawaii, let's see what the wastewater's doing. Is it rising? Is it dropping? Look at this. Honolulu, Hawaii, is showing signs of dropping ever so slightly. 300,000 population. That's a good thing. Here's another wastewater site. Wonky movement, but the overall trajectory now might be starting to go lower there as well. Let's see, did we already look at Sand Island? No, we did not. And in Sand Island, look at this. Also starting to drop, so there's good indications that Hawaii has peaked at this time. Let's go back to the lower 48. Actually, no. Let's quickly go up and check our one wastewater site near Anchorage, Alaska, and what is going on there. Anchorage, Alaska continues to rise at this time. RSV is low. Influenza A, it's actually coming up high. It's dropping a little bit. Wow. So influenza A is an issue there. Norovirus is, wow, norovirus near 100,000 pathogens, or no, it's below that now, but it's still high. HMPV is low, Influenza B is low, and Mpox, no detections, just a few detections of hepatitis A. All right, as promised, let's go back to California, then we'll do Texas, then we'll do Florida. Then I think we will call it a day for this video. And let's see what's going on in the Los Angeles metro area. Taking a look at Los Angeles, we do see here that COVID, at least at this wastewater site, it's not really rising all that much. It's just a slow and steady rise. So this wastewater site, I mean, they have the chart really zoomed out, but at this wastewater site, it looks like levels have not really even rise that much yet. Then when we come to another, yeah, they do this from time to time, and I honestly don't know why, so we'll skip over that. Let's go up to San Francisco. Hopefully we will see that San Francisco is starting to drop. I honestly have not looked at San Francisco. Nope, not dropping yet in San Francisco. Wow. And this is just not good. And there have been a couple news stories saying they're near, I think, their second highest wastewater level of all time in the Bay Area. Yeah, that's not good. And there's a little bit of a wonky movement, but overall, the trajectory continues to be upward. RSV, not much of an issue. Some influenza A, influenza B is low, and HMPV, it's there, and norovirus is there as well. It's saying high, but look at this. We'll call it medium. Mpox, there have been some detections of that back in April, and hepatitis A is low at this time. All right, quickly, let's go to one site down in Texas. And let's go northwest of Houston, shall we? Let's see what's going on there. And northwest of Houston, ruh-roh, this is not good. We can see here COVID levels. Yeah, there may be a wonky movement, but mixed in with that, It's really starting to rise at this wastewater site. We'll have to wait and see what the correction shows for this. This is Woodlands number 2. So we will be revisiting this wastewater site maybe later in the week to see if this corrects, because even though this has been many updates now, that really is quite the huge rise. You're going from just below 500 pathogens to all the way up to almost 2,000. Yeah, that's like, wow. RSV, influenza A, influenza B, HMPV, all not much of an issue. Norovirus is low at this time. Hepatitis A, just a couple detections. Alright, finally ending the day. I know this is a long video today. We're really going all in on wastewater today, aren't we? Florida. In Florida, we see Orlando is rising slightly for COVID at this time. Influenza A, influenza B, RSV, HMPV, all not an issue at this time. Norovirus is rising ever so slightly, and hepatitis A, there have just been a couple detections. One last wastewater site, and this time we're going to come down here to Florida, or Miami, Florida area. And we can see the overall trajectory for this wastewater site, Key Biscayne, I hope I'm saying that correctly, is upward, 829,000 population. RSV, no issue. Influenza A is rising ever so slightly, but again, that could be a wonky movement. Influenza B, not much of an issue. HMPV is low at this time. Norovirus, it is medium to high. No Mpox, and a whole bunch of hepatitis A detections at this time. Alrighty, folks, that does it for the Sunday edition of the Pandemic Update. We will have another Pandemic Update again tomorrow. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel down below. Share this with anyone you know. Hit that notification bell and leave a comment down below. I will see you all again next time, and I will see you over on my other channel at Climate Data Report, where we are going to talk about major Hurricane Beryl, which is a big problem right now for the Windward Islands, and yes, eventually Jamaica as well. Alright, see you all again next time. Stay safe, everyone. Have a fantastic Sunday. Thanks for watching.